And here for another segment is political analyst Scott Hughes. Chomping at the bit, not Scott, but Erin.
I got to ask you something. We left off with saying that it would be tough for if a Republican is in the primary against Ollie Tyler, it would be tough for them to get the Adrian Perkins vote. And I would like to ask you, could Adrian help on that front? If Adrian said, I don't like the way the city's run, like he's been campaigning, and I'm going to throw my support to this Republican guy.
In other words, who's Adrian's second choice?
Does he play a big factor in who he's going to end up supporting if he winds up third?
I think once you get to the runoff, you're going to have obviously 6 candidates that didn't make the runoff. Mm-hmm. And all those 6 candidates are going to bring percentage points. Clearly, the 2 that are going to bring the biggest are going to be Mr. Perkins and the other Republican. Mm-hmm. And so what those do are going to be very telling. It's safe to assume that Lee or Jim will endorse the other. That's the Republican rally. I don't know what Mr. Perkins will do. And the key is, will it matter? I think Mr. Perkins is putting together, or attempting to put together, a coalition that is black and white, Republican and Democrat. And so in that case, I don't know that he's going to be in a position to say, I endorse this person, and all of his followers go there. His followers may split and go different directions.
Right. See, that was kind of my question, is all of a sudden Adrian, who evidently by running doesn't think that Miss Ollie is doing that good a job, suddenly he, like I said, who's going to be his second choice behind Adrian Perkins?
Well, and that's a great question for Adrian. But like I said, I don't think it matters as much as who Adrian supports as the people that support Adrian.
We were in the break. And
oh, zip it up.
No. This doesn't have to do with you.
Okay, good.
And why did you assume? And you're sitting there and you kind of slouch and you put your head in your hands and you go, God, I hate polls. Why?
Well, we've talked before here on the radio. I'm not a fan of polls because everybody jumps on the poll and they think it's election day. And the poll, any poll is a snap in time. Any poll is a victim of how it was done. One of the things that's really interesting for those who are geeking into polls is the Republicans, apparently by design, if we listen to JMC's analysis, is they underpolled Republicans. If you look at some of the statistical
because it was like 56-30.
I think they only polled 30% Republicans. Uh-huh. So they're by their own nature, they underpolled Republicans. So I think that's interesting. I don't know what that means. I'll take my guess. I think they're trying to figure out which of their candidates might do better, not with Republicans, but with the electorate at large, because that is the question you have to ask in the second round. Mm-hmm. Not who can make the runoff, but who can maybe beat the other candidate in the runoff.
Well,
I would also like to see their head-to-head, because I was told by people who were surveyed that they were asked Ollie versus Jim, Ollie versus Leo. We should be able to see those numbers too, right? How did each of them perform against heads up?
Well, and that's why I'm not a fan of polls, because at the end of the day, polls are taken for political reasons. They're generally done by political camps. In this case, it's done by a party, and the party had a clear goal of doing this poll. The clear goal was to try to answer this Republican versus Republican question. They have data. They now are going to selectively release data. Let's back up. I mean, and I would say the same thing. The Democrats did a poll.
Sure.
They're releasing a poll that's going to help the Republican Party. And so rather than release the results like you might see with a Wall Street or a CNN or an ABC News or a Reuters poll nationally, you're seeing a poll that was done by a party for a political purpose, and they've chosen to give us a very selected snapshot of numbers that are only good for the party. So being an analyst, I have to be a cynic on this one and say, why are they only releasing those numbers and not releasing the other numbers?
Does this poll at all change the way any of the candidates are campaigning, in the sense that if Miss Ollie has a legitimate 27 and a rather substantial lead, is it basically I'm staying home, Domino's delivers? Is there any reason for her to leave the house between now and the election?
Well, I think what's going to be interesting is what the poll says in this sense. If we back up, the poll says we have a 3-way race for second place. This is the same thing the polls were saying a week ago, 10 days ago when we were talking about other polls. This is a race for second place. And so forget the poll. What the poll says is 3 of y'all are in a race for second place. So now with roughly a month to go, I think it's actually 4 weeks from today. I think it's a Tuesday election from 4 weeks from today. A month from today, we will hold an election. What do those 3 candidates do? What do Jim and what do Leo do? Do they look at each other and say, I have to get to the top, so I have to go against your Republican base? Do I have to go for your Republican supporters? Do they look at Perkins and try and say, we need to pull votes away from Adrian Perkins to us? Maybe there's some Republicans who are voting for Adrian Perkins that they need to pull back. I think that's one of the things this poll may suggest. This poll is the party trying to take votes away from Perkins. Or do they look to the top? And I think if you look, Mr. Savage has kind of come out swinging lately with corruption and with things against the mayor. Do they look at the mayor and say, we can get more points from that 27%? My gut is you're not going to pull Ollie much lower than she is right now.
Right.
And so they're going to have to go after each other. And there's other danger minds in this poll. If you're going to show that Stephen Jackson's as low as 5%, the Jackson voter may say, I'm out with Jackson. My vote's a waste. So where's the Jackson 5%, the Jackson 5 going to go?
Right.
The Jackson 5 may very well go to Perkins, who suddenly goes from whatever number this poll has him at, let's say 16, 15.
Bumps him into second.
To 2021 to second. So there is interesting numbers all over this poll. But then again, the poll now is useless. It was done a week ago.
Right.
The market has changed. And again, if it comes to polling, it's interesting to see polling over time.
Right.
But now we'll watch what they do. But someone's going to have to make a move fast.
Got a break, but got to stop. But the finance reports are starting to trickle in. Ollie's was in. It's at 710keel.com. Nothing surprised you on that, right?
No, she has strong support from the crowd you normally see, attorneys, people that do business with the city, engineers, contractors. That's very, very common if you're the incumbent. I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe she had well over $100,000 raised. She'd spent some money. She has roughly $100,000 on hand, $90-something thousand cash on hand. That'll give her a little boost. You'll also see more money come in now late. That one thing polls do is they start to give some people a snapshot of where the race is going. So there may be some folks that thought 3 months ago Tyler was not going to make the runoff. Now it appears she may make the runoff. Her financials look solid for a mayor at this point in this race. The interesting financials are going to be Talaferro, Savage, and we've heard Perkins has raised upwards of maybe $200,000 in the campaign. We've heard he had a $60,000 night where he raised money. We'll see how viable his campaign is, but more importantly, how much cash does she have left?
Those financials are due today.
We're running so late, but I've got to ask him one more question.
Go ahead.
On the Ollie financial report, not to get into specific numbers, but individual contributors, there were 21 pages of individual contributors. And when I saw that, I thought, so there's 21 pages of people. There's 21 pages of people who right now are looking at Shreveport and going, yeah, things are going good. I like where this city's headed. Does that surprise you?
Well, it doesn't surprise me it surprises me if you ask that question. I don't think that's the question to ask the people that have written the check to Mayor Tyler. I think, as Erin said last week, there are people in Shreveport that are quite happy and they think their neighborhood's fine. They think life is fine. But when you look at a person who will write a check, especially a person who will write a $1,000 or a $2,500 check, the maximum amount, a lot of times those people are saying, is my business relationship with the city of Shreveport right? Is Ollie the best bet for me? I hate to put it in those terms, but if I'm investing in this race, is that where my money is well invested? And I think what you would see is if you compared Ms. Tyler's financial report this time to her financial report 4 years ago, you're going to see that she has many of the same backers that 4 years ago. She won a fairly easy race 4 years ago. It was a fairly easy investment politically for a lot of folks to go with the winner. And if you endorsed Ms. Tyler 4 years ago, why are you backing off now? That's your question. You know, are things so much worse than 4 years ago? And for someone who already has an invested relationship with the mayor, an invested relationship with the city, at this point, according to the latest polls out, she's at 27% leading the field. Why am I changing horses?